can't steal people's children. You can't take off with people's children without expecting a violent reaction. And that's not so unfamiliar to us either. Even if we were Judeo-Christian, if we weren't communists, the world, the kingdom suffereth violence, and the violence shall take it by force. If we can't live in peace, then let's die in peace.
Reverend Jim Jones, the Christian cult leader and founder of Jonestown, will go down in history for being responsible for the biggest mass killing in America pre-9/11. The brainwashing of the community he founded led to over 900 people committing suicide due to fears of government attacks and the taking of their children. Jones's journey from a local figure who appeared ahead of his time, supporting and making homes for black communities, to manipulative leader who led an entire community to tragedy is a prime example of the extremities of damage religious movements and their charismatic leaders can have on society, especially those that act outside of the laws and expectations. New religious movements can be seen as variations of previous religions, distinctly different in that they aim to preserve or change beliefs, values and systems as society develops slowly away from the supernatural. They can be categorized into two groups: sects, groups that break away from established religions due to a difference in opinion, and cults, offshoots of an established group that emerge and can develop slight variations in practice or values. Whilst both sects and cults are viewed negatively and with suspicion, mainstream media has meant cults are much more widely feared or mistrusted, carrying connotations of secrecy and dangerous leaders with hateful intentions. This, thankfully, is not always the case though. Emil Durkheim described religion as a collective force bringing people together in unity. This is still evident in today's world. One relatively new cult has emerged from the 1995 Toronto Blessing, where hundreds gathered and all claimed to experience God in different ways. The event, that some labelled mass hysteria, included uncontrollable and spontaneous laughter, apparent healings, drunkenness, and mimicking animals.
So,
Roy Wallace highlights what he believes to be three different types of new religious movements in his book, The Elementary Forms of New Religious Life. The first, world-affirming movements, are generally seen as the most popular, Scientology having over 160,000 members in 2005. They revolve around optimism and peaceful practices such as meditation, and the large emphasis is placed on building personal relationships. Due to this, they are rarely transgressive. Other examples of world-affirming groups include the Raelians and Transcendental Meditation. Second are world-accommodating movements. These sects neither accept nor reject the world as it is. Their focus lies with improving the believer's chance in social realms such as relationships and jobs. Although it originally began as a Muslim movement, its founder, Mohammed Sabo, recommended it to be used to supplement any religion, not just Islam. Last is world-rejecting movements. These view society as deviant and a perversion from the plan of the divine. Some take a millenarianist perspective, meaning they believe in a major coming of social change which will transform society from materialistic to a divine one. The minority of religious movements are world-rejecting, massively underrepresented compared to world-accommodating and affirming movements. Examples include Jim Jones, the People's Temple, the Children of God, and Aum Shinrikyo, amongst others. Aum Shinrikyo are a Japanese doomsday cult founded in the mid-1980s by Shoko Asahara. It is a mixture of its founders' interpretations of early Tibetan Buddhism, Indian Buddhism, and Hinduism. The cult ultimately sees the world as fundamentally sinful and takes it upon themselves to bring about what they believe will eventually be nuclear Armageddon, ending the existence of humanity except the elite few who joined the Aum. Indoctrination into the cult will mean survival. There have been many cases of suspected assassinations of members and non-members, as well as extortion, kidnapping, and the manufacturing of nerve gas and VX gas. This all led up to the 1995 Tokyo subway attack, in which the group released sarin, a powerful nerve agent, into 5 trains, killing 13 commuters and seriously injuring 54 more. Some estimates suggest up to 6,000 people were affected. Following this, huge police raids resulted in the arrest of most of the members, as well as the discovery of held captives, weapons, and even a Russian military helicopter. There are many theories as to explain the rise in new religious movements. The American sociologist Robert Withrow suggests the involvement of counterculture. A 4-year study resulted in The Religious Consciousness, in which Withrow says counterculture is the most prominent evidence of culture change in America. The theory simply explains how when an existing culture is met with enough opposition, what Withrow labels its critical mass, for example younger or more relevant views, major change happens. Countercultures rarely last, fading in and out of existence, but always leave a lasting impact on the mainstream society. An example of this can be seen in the hippie generation, a phase that declined but left an impression on society. A similar explanation for the rise could also come at the end of a new viewpoint or society context change. For example, Jim Jones, at the time immediately before his cult leadership, was faced with issues such as institutionally racist society, which he was openly opposed to, and seniors who opposed his moral political values. These circumstances could have led to moral ambiguity and a shift in appropriate principles, leading to the actions he took. New religious movements, transgressional or not, have a massive impact on society and must be researched to gauge how much they are developing in a 21st century society. World-rejecting movements, as shown, can be lethal to many and highlight some of the many key issues with religion and its freedom to change in an evolving world. The 1960s rapid transformation of youth culture and social expectations into the world we live in today could pave way for more religious movements. Considering the age of technology is moving forward at incredible speeds, the possibility for cults emerging rejecting these deviations is still ever present.